calm down. Given the
You,
tough
you
road
believe
ahead,
in rapes because you are Muslim.
I'm not a Muslim. I'm a Christian. Anyway, given the
no,
tough roads
no,
ahead
no.
in the
That's
jungle,
inappropriate.
given the tough
Like,
roads
I'm not
ahead,
saying anything about your religion. Don't say anything bad about mine. Like,
Given the
He's
tough
talking
roads
about the
ahead.
religion. No, he was the one that is talking about the religion.
Yeah, these are what your rabbis say. I didn't make these statements. Your rabbis made them. Anyway, given the tough
Okay, so
roads
one
ahead,
rabbi said that, but all religion.
anyways, guys, look at the pinned link. There, ITV News shows the is raping a Palestinian. So when you guys deny it, like the evidence is right there on top of.
That's what he said. No Palestinian got raped. That's what he said.
Yeah, Nahum, you should watch it.
Well, I'm just
my
saying.
only issue, I don't think enough of them have been raped. There needs to be more rapes so that we can increase morale to fight Hezbollah.
Get on it. Stop being so lazy.
Are you a Zionist?
Yo, bro, are you against your rabbis?
I'm a Zionist.
Are you actually against your rabbis?
So lazy sitting here talking to us.
Wait,
Wait, McZad, just remember,
Look at how Zionists think.
McZad, no, let me tell McZad something. We had a conversation. Wait. Remember when we had a conversation that in order to be a Jew, you need to have a 6-inch long dick, right?
Whoa.
And you told me you were a 2.5 incher? Yeah, I'm more of a Jew than you, man. My dick long, nigga.
I'm glad I interrupted for this. This was very insightful.
Yeah, bro, you're a small dick Jew.
Your mama says his dick is more than 6 inches.
Randy, do you still call your dog nigger?
Hey guys,
Randy, do you remember how you told me you called your dog Cushy? How is your little Cushy doing, Randy?
so it's a different thing, right?
Randy, I'm a dick slap you freaking little cushy dog.
I support calling all the Cushys dogs. All the Cushys should be dogs.
I never said that, my friend. You're a twisted liar, but I will call you a dog.
Okay, it works well because me and
Somebody preach.
you have two Cushy dogs.
47%.
Let me please keep come back to the topic, guys. Off topic here. Way off topic. So, be civilized, guys. Even if it's difficult for you, I got you. Too much testosterone in this room. I got
Does
you.
Israel support two-state solution? Yes or no?
No, we don't.
You're not an Israeli.
Those are two
You're not an Israeli.
I know, but I'm
I
part
would say
Jewish.
no.
I'm part Jewish, I'm a Christian, so I support the Judea and
So
Samaria.
who are you answering on behalf of what?
I answer on behalf of myself. Judea and Samaria
Okay.
is the land
Wait,
of the
just a
Jewish
second.
people.
Judaizer. You're
That's
part
right.
Jewish.
Do you disagree? Yes, I just said yes. Do you disagree Judea
Okay,
and
do you
Samaria
live in
belongs to
do you
Jewish
live in
people?
Israel? Do you live in Israel?
No, of course not. Why would I live in
Of
Israel?
course not.
So when he asked the question, does Israel
Please
want
stay
a
away.
two-state solution? Why
McZad,
did you
small
answer
dick
it
niggas
twice?
must
Most
be.
Israelis believe Judea and Samaria belongs to them, Noam.
When he asked the question, you are not answering me. You are
Most
ignoring my question.
Israelis believe
You
Judea
are
and Samaria
ignoring my
belongs to
question.
them.
Are you doing this on purpose? Are you doing this on
No,
purpose?
I'm being very honest. You
Let me ask you again. Again, you are diverting the question.
This is the main topic. Does Judea?
So guys, you are diverting the topic. I asked you a simple question that you are refusing to answer.
You have some order.
I can't understand anyone talking because this dialogue is so crazy. Can I confess my love to Ella in front of everyone here?
We get it, man. We get it,
She
man.
does have a sweet ass, but you know she's kind of.
Thank you.
One thing about right, if you ever see a nigga till a lie so good to
Judea and Samaria belongs to the Jewish people.
That's not the question. The question was that someone asked. No, let me remind you. What was the question?
How much do you think all this
Someone
food
asked
costs?
if Israel supports the two-state solution. Stop diverting the topic, okay? Stop it.
Okay, but most Israelis don't
And
have
then,
that.
and then you answered
One thing
no,
about
whatever you answered, and I asked you answer on behalf of what? Because you're not Israeli.
The fact that most Israelis believe Judea and Samaria belongs to them.
Oh.
And how can you say that?
Because we have voting that shows this.
Based on
We have
what?
voting that
From
shows
the
that
Bible?
50% of
Are you saying that based on the Bible? Are you answering based on the Bible?
No. We have voting that shows that over 50% of Israelis support the Mexican Muslim.
Voting that shows that, really.
Yes, we do. We have
alle lies,
Israeli
Norm,
support
about
annexing the West Bank.
I never voted on that, so
No, I don't
where
think
did you
you're
get your
being as good of a Zionist as I am.
You said
I'm
you
the
had
true
data.
Zionist.
You're not a Zionist. You don't even live in Israel. You're not even
No,
sure.
but I give my money so that we can walk in.
What makes you a Zionist? What makes you a Zionist?
Where's
Why
your
do you think
data?
you're a Zionist?
What are you even
Judaism.
talking
I
about?
support
Judaism,
Israel.
what makes you a
Reclaiming
Zionist?
the land of the Jewish people.
Okay, we've established that Judaizer is very clearly pro-rape. We're not so sure how he's pro-rape.
No, because that's what the rabbi says, man.
That's what the rabbis say. That's what the
No, we asked
colonels of the
how are you
army say.
pro-Israel?
So if
How are
they
you
say it,
pro-Israel?
and we must
Wait,
respect the interests of Israel, then we must be
so you're
pro-Israel.
telling me, hold on, mix that. Whoa, are you gonna really debate against the rabbi? The rabbi knows the Torah of Israel.
Yes, the rabbis say
The
that
rabbi
this is
knows the
okay, so we must
The
respect what
rabbi
the rabbis
says that
say.
you're against
The rabbi knows the Torah.
Created by Jewish
Can you guys
You understand?
Arguments to rape, we don't like to rape.
Most of so-called rabbis
We want to understand
are
why it's
Egyptians and Syrians who came because of opportunities created by the Jewish settlements. There weren't amazing. There were maybe 50,000 Arabs in this area. Now 14 million people want to say they're Palestinians. But there's never was a Palestine. Jordan knew the score.
But who
But Jordan
there
held the
never was the
territory from
Palestine.
48 to 67. That says everything. They knew there was no Palestine. It's an invention of the KGB as a way to destabilize the West. But there's no Palestine. There was never a king of Palestine. Only King David was the king of.
Randy,
You understand? There was never a language. There was never a press.
Randy,
He lost
may I speak?
Guys, I had to move him down. He wasn't listening. KGB, what kind of fucking conspiracy theorist, barefoot, Bigfoot ass guys, Randy? Holy shit.
Yeah, and Randy, by the way, there was press in Palestine before Israel ever, invented a state there. So you should check your information because whatever you said is just a blank lie. So,
It's not lie,
always
it's just
telling that.
stupidity. Again, if the reason why Noam is still here is because he at least tries to articulate and argue using evidence and stuff like that. I won't ever say anything about someone standing up for what he believes in, but it's a dialogue. I have my own belief, so does Noam. It doesn't mean I hate you, Noam. I'll have a different opinion if you. I'll have a different opinion if you were an IDF soldier, because I think the IDF kill children and they're complicit in a genocide.
Wait, you would think that before knowing anything about Noam personally?
I mean, bro, come on, just go back.
Yes, exactly.
Before 1948, bro.
No,
It's like,
don't assume. Don't assume.
Hold on.
But
I want to say
Randy
this,
is on
right?
a whole different ass vibe, talking about the KGB and I don't know what hole he crawled out of or what bunker. He thinks the lizard people exists and Lord Zeno is coming for everybody. I don't know how retarded this guy is. As soon as I heard the KGB, I was just yeah, okay, so we have some guy on drugs here just talking random bullshit. And when I gave him a chance to redeem himself, but he ignored my question, continued speaking.
Well, that's the
over me,
average
and that's
Israeli
when I
for you,
stepped
man.
on his head. I don't think Randy is an Israeli. I think he's a retard. That's all.
Isn't that what
Okay, but it
Israelis
doesn't matter. Even if he is a retard, and he probably is, we must support him.
He must.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Yo, McZad, when we gonna go to a P. Diddy party, man? Come on. We gonna have freak night, man. We're gonna have 1,000 mineral baby oil bottles, man. Come on.
Listen, that's how you want to spend your private time. That's between you and your God. Leave me out of it.
No. We doing this together because P. Diddy's Jew too, man.
No interest.
But he's considered Jew on his mommy side, man. We talking about.
Hard pass.
Nigga went to Harlem, bro. He used to go to specific areas of Harlem, man. Come on. He's a big slang anyway.
No, and move on. No.
Guys, just attention to what Toxie wrote, the chat.
I'm confused about Toxic because last time when he was talking, he was a Zionist. Now he's supporting Palestine. So on which side are you actually, Toxic? Because I don't like when people just, switch their mind like whatever people they are surrounded with. So I'm confused here, Toxic.
I think Toxi saw the bombing, the napalm bombing of a hospital, and his mind switched after that.
Yes, I saw the light, so I wanna help the Palestinians, of course.
I mean, I was an anti-Zionist 5 minutes ago, and then I remembered the writings of Rabbi Shmuel and Rav Mendel Schneerson.
Hashem said in the Torah.
Israeli people.
Come on.
You sound so
Hashem said in the
sincere.
Torah.
He who blesses Israel will be blessed. He who curses Israel will be cursed. I don't want to be.
Like I said, sincere.
Yeah, I don't want to be cursed, dude. So, I mean,
I don't know why you're arguing. I'm saying you sound very sincere when you talk about
I
Zionism.
agree.
I'm
That's
mixed
why
up, bro.
I'm saying. That's
Like,
why
you got a
that's why I'm
micropenis, my
saying,
nigga.
no matter how many babies are killed, no matter how many napalm gas bombings there are of
That sounds like
Palestinian
your genuine
hospitals,
belief. That's what I'm
we
saying.
must
You said
support the
authentic
Israeli
and
peace.
real.
We must support the Jewish people and the state of
This
Israel.
sounds like what you
Whatever
really
you're saying,
believe.
you're basically lying.
No, I'm being serious. Let
No,
your
you're
yes
not
be
serious.
yes or your no be no.
No, you're not
That's
serious.
That's
No, you're not a Zionist.
I'm a Zionist.
No, you're not.
If necessary, we must kill all 5
You
million
oppose the land of
Palestinians.
Israel. You oppose the state of Israel. You oppose the state of Israel.
I
This is
support the
just
state of
by
Israel.
talking to you in the last,
It's not big
in the
enough.
last 10 minutes.
The state of Israel needs to get larger.
No, you oppose. This is why you're not
You
Zionist.
don't read the Torah?
All of the Jewish people coming back to their homeland in this tiny bit of land. No, Sinai must go back to Israel. The Janub, at least in Lebanon, probably up to Beirut. I think Damascus should be seized as well. And as for Jordan, why does Jordan even exist?
That does not say that in the Bible.
Torah tells us, wait, hold on. The Torah tells us.
Based it off the Bible.
Yes, Torah says as well.
Wait, Noam. In the Torah, we need to get the Bahir back.
Greater Israel, Noam. I just remind you on your own Premier Minister Netanyahu, showing a map of Greater Israel. So, whatever you say, it's always so easy to debunk, Noam. I don't know if you're not embarrassed of your stupidity here because, you come always on stages and
The
claim.
Greater Israel is something that I heard before. It's one of the largest, one of the biggest conspiracies that I've ever heard. Okay?
Oh my
Wait, hold on.
Yes, wait just a second. People like
Hashem, did you say Hashem? Wait, did you say Hashem?
He does not show
Hashem
that
mentioned the Torah.
He does not know because Terry, you are lying. He does not say that in the Torah.
No, Hashem.
Guys, I have to say something. Listen to this. This is what do you guys think?
That's the Torah.
No, for real, Noam.
Guys, who make a fool, please? Why did you make a fool?
That I've heard that I know.
Hashem said in the Torah. Hashem, no, hold on.
Greater Israel is not mentioned in the
Hashem said in the Torah.
Noam.
No, Hashem said in the Torah, we're going to have from the Bahir all the way down to Sinai.
This is not true. This is never mentioned in the Torah.
No, I ain't from the Nile to the Euphrates. We're going to have from the Euphrates to the Bahir, bro. Come on, man.
This is never mentioned in the Bible, and you cannot give me
Hashem,
any.
man.
Noam. You don't even
Really?
know the
Which
Bible.
verse?
I think you
You
don't
don't even read the Torah, man. You don't even read the
Which verse?
Torah.
Give me the verse.
Yo, Noam. Can I say something to Noam? So Noam, okay, let me tell you this. When you approach a girl, right, and you put your dick in her pussy, and she starts bleeding all of a sudden, what do you do?
No.
What do you do?
I never do that. I'm a gentleman. I never.
Terry, I just said stop talking like that. And that's so disgusting, and it's not the topic here. If you want to use that kind of language, go to those kind of rooms where you use that kind of language.
You are a little bit.
So,
In the Bible, in the very first book, Genesis chapter 15, verse 18 says, on that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, to your descendants I give this land from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates. You're welcome, Genesis.
Thanks be to God.
On that note, do you know Rabbi Shmuley Mixit? Are you in the same business as his daughter?
Wait, which verse? Which verse
Rabbi
was that?
Shmuley.
Genesis
Anyone that
15:8.
was listening
You need to read Toira,
would
Bornor.
see that this promise was given
But
to
the Mexican,
Avram,
that's a rabbi
not
Shmuley. He's in a
to
sex
Israel
toy
or
business.
the Bnei Yisrael. This is the promise to
Well,
Abraham.
that was a promise given to the daughter of Rabbi Shmuley. Do you know Mexican Rabbi Shmuley by any chance?
See, this is why it's difficult to educate you people. You're so proud of your stupidity.
No, I'm talking about Rabbi Shmuley.
Mexed, can you
read about
Mexed.
a dumb rabbi online, and now you want to talk about it online? That'll make you
Yeah.
smart, right?
Mexed, can we have
No,
a
see, that's the
serious
problem. I can't
conversation?
educate you.
Are you in the same business that Rabbi Shmuley's daughter? Kosher sex
daughter? What do you know about her?
I don't know. It seems that she's in a sex toy business, kosher business, right?
Oh my God!
Is that what it is?
Did
You do everything for money?
with her?
Is it a part of the scripture?
You want to visit her sex shop? Is that where you want to
You do
go?
everything, even the sex toy
I
shop? You
think
call
you
it
could
kosher?
probably call her up.
What kind
and
of
ask
cult
her
are you
out
guys? Is it
sometime,
you do everything for money? Money is everything to you?
Couple of dialogue like
Even the kosher? You call it kosher? Sex toy business? You call it kosher?
Okay.
Rabbi Shmuley?
Sorry, wait. Please.
Is that the question?
Guys, just a second. Like, regarding to what Mixed said, you mentioned Genesis
How dumb they all
15 to 18. Yeah. Sorry, can I finish just a second?
Oh, you want to see the paper?
Why did Ella leave?
Wait.
Who made Ella leave?
Wait, just a second, guys. Let me finish. I just want to reply to what Mixed said. Okay. So I saw the verse that you quoted, and God said that the land was given to all of the children of Abraham,
I agree.
including Ishmael, from the brook of Egypt to the Euphrates.
I
Okay.
agree.
Okay, so we both agree on that.
I agree. No, I'm just trying to highlight that it's incorrect to say that there is no biblical reference to the quote-unquote land of Israel being from the river Euphrates to the river of Egypt. But there
Just
is
to
a
the Jews. Just to the Jews.
I
I meant just to the
I agree.
Jews.
I agree with
Okay,
you.
okay, we agree.
Guys, the
I
Bible
agree.
very
Okay.
clearly does reference.
Okay, I agree with you.
And that
Okay.
confusion is where these propaganda gets confused. Because the words are there; they will never change. It was very
Okay,
clear
I agree.
that Abraham and his descendants, which I grant you includes a lot of Christians and Muslims.
Right, I agree with you. So greater Israel is also for the Muslims.
100%. They're the descendants of Abraham.
Guys, why
Yeah.
can't we just form a secular government and a secular country where everybody gets to live
We
together?
did, and you tried to kill us for it.
Okay, then kill
What?
those who are trying to kill you. Please. This is a secular government, not America. This is
Yeah, secular government is where everyone sees their wishes in like successful birthday, and they all stay nice to each other. Very easy, and it will flow.
Let's do it, guys. Especially with gay sex. I hate that.
Yeah, come on. They're good.
Gabriel, can I say something? Has anyone ever said, Gabriel, that God is making suck your dick? Okay, because I'm one of those people. Because I think you're religious.
Because like the very first word in your profile is curious. All right, man. Listen, Captain, I'm just saying he sounds like Bernie.
He's 6'3".
Oh shit, Captain.
And he has like what's the better picture? His
Look how
eyes.
oh my god, I'm like so jealous of you right now.
Are you gonna strip down?
Yes. I'm gonna go jerk off right now.
Go ahead. Everybody's welcome to
I mean, listen, it's God's gift to the world, apparently. Fight the
properly.
Oh, the room just kind of died.
No, please bring people up, Officer Bull.
They got to do from time to time. I want to see Japan, little old Japan, just kick China's dick in the dirt one more time.
You can want whatever you want, Roger. None of my business.
Let's see. There's some stuff in the chat. Let's see. Harris all the way. Woo. Yeah. Let's see. Yoav makes a good point. Kamala, hater of Israel. She absolutely hates Israel. Yep. So that's one mark against her. The other problem is you can't expect her to not hate Israel, considering she's a communist. We know how the communists treated the Jews, and so she's just a terrible person. Her foreign policy, her domestic policy, she's just the worst possible human being. Marshall, you're here to maybe defend her somehow?
No, if I had any question for you, it would be twofold. How you been? Ain't seen you in a while. Hope all's well. And then, I can't recall whether I asked you this before. What about her just sticks it in your craw? In all the years I've known you,
because
this is the most vociferous I've ever heard you be toward political.
Marshall, when she came up, she was a deputy district attorney in Alameda County where I had lived. She failed up. She was horrible deputy district attorney. She failed up to be the district attorney in San Francisco. You know the rest of her history, but I've been exposed to her a little longer than the rest of the country. And so she's just been awful the whole ride up. And so I think having a front row seat to just how fucking awful she is, I think that's part of the problem. The other thing is just how disingenuous she is. I mean, again, I'll ask any of the black people in here, do you guys wash your greens in your bathtub like Kamala Harris does? I'm going to guess the answer is no. I don't think that there's anybody that is as fake as that woman is. And honestly, I get it. Donald Trump, piece of shit, he's worthless. He's all these bad things, right? But when you're grading this, honestly, from an objective lens, Donald Trump is better than Kamala Harris in every conceivable and measurable. Yes, Diana, I am coming out swinging. I am swinging for the fences because there is no way on God's green earth that I could have any respect for somebody that would check the box and vote for that commie whore, Kamala Harris.
Well, that makes the vociferous make a little bit more sense. Now I understand why you got such a hard on for her. I will tell you, I find myself defending Trump voters more than I find myself defending folks who are on the side of Kamala. That's you know me. I'm not a particularly big fan of the former president, but when I find people unable to stick themselves in another man's moccasins, for lack of a better example, and understand why people vote for former President Trump, it just seems to me to be a mental deficiency. The inability to understand why somebody else might choose something else seems to be an electoral issue for the Democratic Party. And it seems to be a particularly electoral issue for their more progressive cohort. The progressive cohort and some the freaked out people in the middle cannot seem to grasp why somebody would vote for Trump. And they can't seem to come up with any positive reasons on why it might happen, which to me signals a lack of imagination and a lack of understanding. I don't know if it signals to you the same thing, but that's what it is for me. I'm out door knocking, Roger, and I'm like literally right next to the border. When I say right next to it, I mean like I could walk 100 yards north and I could climb over the fence and be at the river. And there's nobody like jumping over the fences right now. But when I go knock on doors, it's the economy. People's issues are about the economy. Now, because where I live, the border comes up probably, the border comes up where you live in Cali. But, I hear that overwhelmingly from people. And I don't hear the same sort of critiques of Trump that I hear on Clubhouse. And I'll also say, I don't hear the same critiques I hear of Kamala that I hear on Clubhouse. As you know, people who do local politics or, who vote locally don't exactly care a ton about all that stuff. So when I go talk to people, I find it's the pocketbook that brings more people together and that brings more critical analysis than, to be frank, anything cultural or military.
Let me ask you this. What did you think of Kamala Harris coming out and saying, her comments specifically about helping black men? Did you guys catch these comments and how she wants to specifically target a gender and a race for particular assistance? Am I just crazy, or did that seem not only unconstitutional, but also just quite disrespectful? It seemed like the bigotry of low expectations. It's very interesting. It's like the old bigotry that she had when she was throwing black men in prison is kind of coming back around, and she's just going to use a different tactic. And she's now going to try to get their votes, but she still has the same disdain for young black men. It's pretty disgusting in my opinion.
So I don't understand, at least in her way of arguing, how you're going to create some form of legislation that is purely for one group of people. Not to mention all the different groups of people that would get pissed, but it just seems like bad governance. It seems like, you're familiar with this shit, but I don't know how familiar you are. It seems to me like the Romans building a port in Ostia so that they could give the grain dole to every poor person they could find, which was that consul's way of getting all of those people to vote for him. And it seems like that's, from what you told me, it seems like that's the idea.
Yeah, I'm going to go on record here, and I'm going to identify the only black man that Kamala Harris has ever helped was she helped Willie Brown get off. That's the only help she's ever given to a black man in her life. And if anybody has evidence to the contrary, please present it.
So yeah, look, I would find that offensive. I don't find it offensive to somebody that's white. I find it offensive to somebody that's American. But all groups should be able to lift all people out of poverty, not just certain groups of people out of poverty. And it seems, I don't know, a little too little, a little too late. Seems like those doors that we both knocked on, where the person opens the door and they ask you why you're there, and you tell them. And I get at least one person in a cycle who says this shit to me, and I'm sure you do too. Okay, great, you're here, but you've never been here before, so why the fuck should I care? Right? It kind of it comes off to me like that. It comes off to me as caring a little too little, a little too late. And if you could get because she's trying to get to vote for her, their answers would be something along the lines of, seriously, you waited till a month out?
Hold on. Let's talk about something really important. And I want and welcome Joe and welcome everyone else. Anybody wanted to raise their hand, you can come up here. I just want to make sure that we don't lose our focus here. This is a woman that she just keeps repeating that she was raised in a middle class home. Yet, the policies that she's prescribing absolutely do nothing to help the middle class. In fact, they destroy the middle class, which seems to be the goal of the Democratic Party, is to destroy the middle class, to make the middle class indistinguishable from the lower class. and I think that seems to be her plan. I would love to challenge anyone here to come up and say how you think Kamala Harris is going to put a dent in government spending. We're right now we're approaching 36 trillion national debt. We have a $2 trillion a year deficit. Is there anything in her policy making that suggests to you that the debt will go down? And keep in mind, this is a woman that comes from a middle class home.
Actually, Roger, that's a very good question. That's pretty much the only question that I care about in this whole U.S. election. And could you suggest anything that Trump has proposed that will lower the debt?
No, this is a good question, Tiger, and I'm glad you're being good faith today, because this really is the crux of it, right? And I said this the other night. No matter who wins, if we have this conversation 4 years from now on the eve of a 2028 election, the national debt will be 42 trillion minimum, and that's the number that I come up with if Trump wins. If she gets in office, it'll probably be somewhere around 45, 46 trillion. So I think that her spending will be worse, but I don't believe that he's offering the kind of relief that I would like to see. But, if what we're going to do is compare one against the other, the one that's going to add less debt is probably the better choice.
Do you want to see what I just chat there? Harrison, Roger, you said you wanted to see evidence. There was a survey of, I don't know how many economists, but it's over 57% that analyze both plans, and they agree with you that both of them, the deficit will go up and the debt will go up. But they disagree with you on which one would go higher.
Wait, hold on. I want to talk to somebody in the chat here. Brent, who is VIP lucky. He says, down payment assistance, a $25,000 grant for first-time homebuyers addresses affordability barriers. I don't know if anybody ever got the memo to Brent, but the money that the government utilizes comes from either them printing it out of thin air, which creates inflation, or they tax the taxpayers for this. So this idea that she's doing some very generous thing, she's doing something very generous with our fucking money and our kids' money. This fucking giveaway program that you guys position as fucking assistance. She's not assisting anything. What she's doing is she's trying to convince dumb people that don't understand economics that they're getting a good fucking deal for that 25 grand. I'll tell you what, you take that 25 grand and you fucking take it and you turn it sideways and you stick it straight up her fucking ass. It wouldn't be the first time she's had something stuck up there. I can promise you that.
Okay. Well, I think you're making...
Printing money does not cause inflation!
Doing that, which this is something I've always wondered, and I'm like, economics, as many people know, is not my particular strong suit, but why wouldn't the $25 down payment assistance get worked into the overall price of the house? It's not exactly like the people building the houses are going to eat the debt.
I could answer that.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Have you ever sold a home, first of all, just to be clear, yourself?
No, Daniel, that's why I prefaced it with economics.
I'm just asking for reference, but if tomorrow you owned a home, let's say we owned it together and we decided we're going to sell it, we would not be pricing it any different based on who has a down payment. We'd be pricing it on comparative values. The comparative values. That has to do with demand and supply. I don't know when I price it, the person who's coming up to buy my house does qualify or doesn't qualify. I want to appeal to as many buyers as I can to hopefully get a bidding war and drive up my price. So I need more participants in my buyer pool for my personal benefit.
Daniel, let me ask you a question, because I have bought and sold homes several times. Let me ask you this. If you give money to home buyers, do you think that the net impact is going to be that home values go up, home values go down, or home values stay the same. And if you've got any bit of honesty or math skills, you should be able to answer this pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think it is about supply as well as demand. I do think that having more people demand is going to probably drive up some prices in certain markets. I also think in certain markets, you're going to find that underpriced homes are actually going to now start to be more in parity. And if you couple the policy, Roger, if she can do it, and I don't know if she can do it, but if she can also supply more housing itself, then we're going to have a stabilization of the market. And the net result is we get more people that are benefiting the villages and societies.
Daniel, hold on.
There's a ripple effect.
Daniel, have you ever sold a home?
Certainly.
Yeah. So zoning laws are created by what branch of government?
The local.
Okay, so what the fuck is she talking about?
Okay, well, we can have another conversation about whether she can effectively do it or not. I was only answering the question that Marshall brought up as to whether necessarily just tax on $25,000. It does not necessarily do that. It's the only thing I'm commenting on.
I'm a little confused by all of that, and here's why. If I know that the government is giving a $25,000 tax stipend to somebody to get a house, then it seems like I, the home builder or the home seller, could bilk an extra $25,000 out of the person who's buying the house, because the $25,000 isn't theirs, it's the government's, which means the taxpayers. Now,
Hold on. I want to illustrate this with comparing this to other areas where the government gives, whether it's a credit, whether it's a rebate, whatever it might fucking be, however form of subsidy that you want to provide. When we look at, let's say, subsidies for buying appliances, for example, like if you have an energy efficient appliance, you have certain state governments that will subsidize that. Does anybody want to guess if the appliance price has leveled off, gone down, or gone up when those subsidies started?
Can I ask why you think that that's an apples to apples comparison? Because in one case,
I can give you more examples. I can give you more examples. Hold on. You said you didn't like that example. I'll give you more examples.
I didn't say I didn't like the example.
Okay. You know what? Okay. Clearly, you want to speak. You go ahead, and when you're done. Because I wanted to give examples because some people need these examples, right? But you don't like my example.
No, it's not a matter of not liking these.
No, I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna give you as much rope as you fucking need to hang yourself, and hopefully you fucking do it on a short rope. Let me just give you enough rope as I possibly fucking can, and then when you're finished, I'll give you countless examples where when the government at the state, local, or federal level give you money, prices go up, and I would beg for somebody to refute any of my facts. But go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, in the one case, when you do it over a whole class of machines like you just described, it has to tack it on everywhere, including tariffs or incentives, no matter what they are, because it's to every device. In the case of these homes, Marshall, where you asked that question, which is all I was answering, it is not for every buyer. It is not for every home. As far as I'm concerned in economics of demand and supply, those are not comparisons, Roger, that make sense to me that you've chosen. That's all I'm asking.
In all fairness, that wasn't my concern. Like, not even remotely. My concern is that somebody who builds a home or sells a home knows that the government is giving a subsidy. As a consequence of knowing the government gives a subsidy, they may stick in an extra $25,000 to the price because they know they can get the money from the government. It's like it reminds. Just give me 2 seconds.
All right.
Like it reminds me of discussions about stopping food from being too expensive.
Right.
Right. For every gallon of milk you stop from being $4.
Right.
What if the dairy can only milk the cow for $3?
Right. I am definitely on your page for a minimum amount of government necessary. I've been in enough rooms with you.
Yeah, I know where you're at. No worries.
For you to know that, but I'm simply saying that in this case, I would price out the people who don't qualify for the down payment if I did what you said. That's my point of what's different. And I haven't gotten off this whole conversation. It is not every home buyer that qualifies. That's a fundamental difference.
Good. Dude, I never thought it was every home buyer. Because I understand the vice president's plan is $25,000 down home buying assistance for first-time home buyers. We've paid rent on time for 2 to 3 years without any skippage of that rent. I get that part.
And that's why I asked the question in the beginning.
Part that I have a hard time with, or I don't necessarily understand.
Yeah, let me jump in here. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me, Marshall?
Yeah, no, I can.
Yeah, let me just jump in here real quick. So, in the state of Washington, the federal government offers a subsidy for buying or leasing an EV. The state of Washington has decided to kick in additional money for this. If you wanted to rent a Tesla, lease a Tesla, 3-year lease of a Tesla, between the federal and the state subsidy, they would completely cover your down payment, and what you would do is you would maximize this down payment with the coverage that they'll pay, which in the state of Washington is up to $9,000, and you can get depending on your credit, you can get your lease payment somewhere between about $200, maybe $225 a month for a lease with zero down. Now, here's the $1 million question. Did the cost of Teslas go up? Did they stay the same? Or did they go down with this very generous offer to subsidize some people purchasing these Teslas? Or whether you're leasing them or if you want to finance them, they add to that. But the lease option is incredible because you can walk in to the dealership, pick up your Tesla, and it covers everything out the door. And you walk out and you have a $200 lease payment for 36 months. Very generous, very fucking generous. You can't go back to 1985 and lease a fucking brand new automobile, for that price at that type of a vehicle, right? Now, granted, Teslas didn't exist back then, but you couldn't have found a comparable example, even going back 40 fucking years, right, to be able to do that. So it's a generous offer for some. And this is the thing. It's this selective, we're going to be generous to this group of people to make it sound like we are generous in general, when in reality, we know that the actions we are taking actually increases the cost of these vehicles for everybody else.
I mean, I don't really see why folks should get, in this case, a Tesla for like $5. That doesn't seem fair at all. Like, everybody pays taxes. Why the hell should one group get a special tax benefit and the other, like, middle class group not get a special tax benefit? That doesn't make any sense to me. Seems to be the argument that they're giving benefits to some and not to others, and then trying to say that the benefits to some are really benefits for all. And that's maybe I'm wrong in that interpretation, but that's how that comes across to me.
No, you're right. These programs aren't fair. I want to get back to this idea of spending, a deficit, spending. Let's talk about $1 billion, okay? Do we spend $1 billion on sending it overseas to Ukraine or to Israel, or, do we keep that $1 billion in the U.S. and spend it to, we got people that just got hit by hurricanes and all that. So there's something to be said for, are you using the money to make America better, or are we using the money to make like other parts of the world better? I think that's a really important question. I just saw Trump on an economic interview with an economic panel, and he does have a degree in finance. And one of the things he was talking about.
Joe, let me just introduce this thought, right? You're already introducing this idea that giving money to this group of people better than giving money to that group of people. And it's not that I'm in disagreement of the idea that a nation should put their wants and needs ahead of people outside of their nation. That's not the point. That's not the point. But what I would say is that you've already accepted the idea that money is going to be given away, and that we then have to, make these arguments about who it's best to give it to. I would argue that we should get back to the basics of saying, no, we're not giving it. No social welfare, no corporate welfare, no foreign aid, and we'll try to be everybody's friend. And we will work through a process where we believe in supporting our allies for sure. People complain about the money that's given to Israel or Ukraine, and to be honest, I think there's better ways to do it. But I also think that people don't understand in the form in which it comes. If you think about it, the money that's given to Israel comes in the form of vouchers that get spent on with weapons contractors that are American companies. So the taxpayer is funding the purchase of these arms essentially. So it's a wealth transfer from American citizens to American companies, and then the weapons go to Israel. I think there's better ways. I think there's better ways that we can do this. But let me make this point. The world is fucking at a critical place here. And when the world starts getting chaotic, the first thing that happens is the normalization of the world believing it's okay to kill Jews. And that when this happens, and this has happened historically, when this happens, this normalization of the idea of killing Jews, there's a lot of people, left, right, and center, that come to the table saying, for one reason or another, thinking, yeah, okay, it's okay. We'll just go ahead and allow that to happen. To the point where you have college kids in America that are marching and showing their sympathy for the group that is actually terrorists. And so it's a fucking problem, in my opinion, because here's the other thing. Let's just say let's say you don't like Jewish people. Now, if you do, you're a piece of shit and you kiss my ass, but let's just say that that's the category that you fit in. You don't like the Jews. Okay, let's analyze that. If we look back in history and we look at these regimes that start with attacking Jews, they don't stop with attacking Jews. And so I think that everyone should get their head out of their fucking asses and understand that when the Jews are fighting the fight, they are the canary in the fucking coal mine. This is a problem for the whole goddamn planet. We need to stand behind Israel. We need to stand behind Jews wherever they might be, because if we don't, it's like feeding an alligator, hoping it's going to eat us last, and that is not a fucking strategy.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that, and I agree that, we need to end this war in Israel as soon as possible, because I would just rather see the world building rather than building each other up versus destroying each other. And that's kind of a fundamental question, economically. Are we better economically if we can create peacetime, or are we better economically if we're in time of war? Of course, the military-industrial complex would say, hey, we make more money in times of war. But just as a society, I think there is a vested interest to actually have leaders who are peacemakers versus people that create the environment where, there is something to be said for peace through strength.
That's a conversation.
I think it depends on what peace costs you. If you're Chamberlain, then the peace is worthless.
Yeah, but we're also living.
Yeah, so that's an argument in favor of spending money on war.
Well, hold on. Slow down. Let's talk about government spending for a second, because people like to talk about it very selectively, and they don't really like the reality of the numbers. If I were to ask you, what is the number one expenditure that the United States has, does anybody on the stage know what it would be?
I do. The but we may disagree whether it's year over year or quarter over quarter. The biggest expenditure is mandatory spending, and it encompasses 3 programs: Social Security, Medicare, and disability insurance, for a grand total now of about $2 trillion.
Yeah. So let me put a fine point on this. Medicare spending is the biggest line item, followed by Social Security. The two combined, those are the top 2. Interest on the debt is higher than military spending, right? So when people talk about, oh man, we really got to cut this military spending, the military industrial complex, yeah. Look, I'm all about having the best armed military. I like being able to say fuck around and find out and kind of have some teeth behind it. And part of the problem is with this mandatory spending that's so out of control, we've allowed ourselves to get into this situation where when we look, we're almost at $1 trillion a year in military spending, and we're just above. It's both of them over $900 billion. Both the interest on the debt and military spending. Military spending is slightly less than the interest on the debt, and because these fucking Democrats are now running deficits of $2 trillion every single year, that problem's only going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And so when people get selective about where we spend our money, I just wish people could go and look at the actual budget, the actual intake of revenue, and look at where we're overspending. Medicare, Social Security, these are Ponzi schemes we should get rid of.
Can I agree with you, Roger? And then I want to bounce the question back to you. Like, we're not going to stop spending. Government spending is going to happen one way or another. But can we agree that there is a difference? Now, it's not really my expertise, maybe not even your expertise, but can we agree that there is such thing as wise spending and foolish spending? And that's the stuff that really gets us in trouble, is the foolishness versus the wisdom?
No.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. We have a very special guest here. When I say special, I mean in the form of like the short yellow bus special. Jarl, who is a really especially slow human being, he's asking the question about communism. What's wrong with it? See, Jarl likes to embrace communism, and what he thinks is that somehow that when I bring it up, that I'm bringing up some boogeyman. So let me just define communism the way that Karl Marx would define communism. Karl Marx says you can define communism in one sentence. In that one sentence, it is the abolition of private property. So what does that mean? When you think about Marx's critique of capitalism, is he doesn't believe that the means of production should be owned privately. He does not believe that. He believes that the people should own it. And then in this transition phase, what happens is a government comes in. It's going to take the production away from the private sector, and then it's supposed to gift it to the workers. The workers are going to get it. Although we know that doesn't happen. What we do know that happens is that once you take the private sector out, what happens is you then result in mass casualties. In the last century, we had 100 million deaths in the name of communism. Jarl says, fuck it, let's give it another try. I say, no, we shouldn't give it another try. I think what we should do is we should embrace free market capitalism, and we should tell people like Jarl, if he doesn't like our way of life, maybe he can go, suck Kim Jong-un's dick and go live in a communist utopia like North Korea. And so, yeah, I have my reasons for not liking communism. I have 100 million reasons, and those are deaths caused by communism. But again, Jarl doesn't care about that. Jarl thinks that was too few because communism didn't win. And in order for communism to win, you're going to have to pack the body bags a lot higher. And Jarl is all about that. He loves the body bags. He loves the dead capitalists. What he really wants is he just wants a lot of dead people. So then they can. There's not as many people left to complain about how bad communism really is. So, anyways, Jarl won't come up on the stage though because he's got stage fright. He just likes to talk his little shit up in the chat.
Hey, Roger, we have a lot in common in being obsessed with the debt. We could have another conversation about that. But Joe asked this question before that came up about, isn't there good spending and bad spending?
Well, wise spending versus foolish spending.
They're spending within their means.
Wait, hold on. You said good spending versus bad spending? Look,
He
before we get
clarified
into
it.
what
He
you
clarified it.
wait a minute. You're not going to talk over me. You think that's going to happen? You've never been in a room with me. I will let you fucking speak, but you will not fucking speak over me. You asked the question about good spending and bad spending. Before we get into what's frivolous spending and what's not frivolous spending, could we agree that every penny that you spend that is deficit spending is terrible fucking spending?
Not necessarily.
Oh no! So you think running up a debt would be better? Okay, walk me through that. I will now silence myself, and you walk me through deficit spending and tell me how that's beneficial to a nation. Thank you.
Roger, he's the part of the Republican Party that took over after all the dead people lost their way. It's been making excuses for spending on the Republican side when we really shouldn't be spending more than we fucking take in taxes. It's not like, Joe, I don't think it's very difficult. We take in $4.8 trillion in taxes. We spend something like $6 trillion. Under President Trump, we spent something like $7 trillion. That was a terrible idea. We should have never done it. It's really like arguing with me that his spending was better than Joe Biden's spending is silly. It's all over what we take in taxes. It all adds to the debt. It all adds to the amount of money we pay on the interest to our debt. Every penny over that sticks another % of interest on us. And that's not good for America. Our insolvency point is at $75 trillion. That's the point at which our assets are no longer worth our debt. And we're at $35 trillion. I'm 33. In my lifetime, we'll probably get to 50. Right? And you can't get to 75 and still be the United States of America as we currently are now. Any country that's ever tried that in history has ended up in fucking shambles. And what it ends up as is Germany, where you're taking wheelbarrows or trunkfuls of paper money to the store to buy basic necessities. There's a fucking terrible idea to spend outside of our budget. Making an excuse for it, to be frank, is just making an excuse for bad decision making.
Well, government spending, I agree that it needs to be responsible, but balancing a family budget or balancing a business budget is different than balancing a government budget.
The state of Texas has a balanced budget every 2 years.
Don't cut me off.
One of the most, hold on. We manage to be one of the most dynamic states in the United States.
Hey, Mark,
we live within our means. And we pass a balanced budget every year. It is not impossible. It is not out of line. It is not something that cannot be done. It is something that people don't want to do because it means they have to pick and choose between what we spend. They have to pick and choose the benefits.
You didn't let me say my because.
You don't get to get everything simply because you want it.
Uh-huh. Well, that's kind of the way, whoever's in power gets what they want by the way they pass the laws. But balancing a family budget and a business budget is different than a government budget because the government has one advantage that none of us has. They get to print money. And I know,
yes,
I don't like
every empire that has ever gone into debt in the entire world has been able to spend itself out of its bankruptcy. Said no empire fucking ever in 10,000 years of human history. It's just not possible. It is the belief that we can spend and spend and spend and spend with no bad things happening. That is intentional ostrich behavior. You are burying your head in the sand and saying, if we only spend it on this, even though we're spending over what we take in taxes, it's still cool. No, it's not fucking cool. It's not fucking cool because the debt is the second largest payment, and it will be, by the time I am in my 60s, it will be the largest payment the American government pays. It will dwarf mandatory spending, and it will make discussions like foreign aid seem like child's play.
You know, I agree with you. I agree with you. But government doesn't just spend to cover expenses. Government, will like it or not, does social engineering. Where they put the money determines what happens in our society, even if it's debt money or printed money. And so the government has this kind of ability, this superpower to influence where the printed money flows into to support the programs of the government.
Until the credit rating.
You don't have to like it, but that's the way it is.
What they did to us in 2015, where they downgrade our credit rating. So we're not a AAA, we're a AA. So we'll go from being a AA to being a single A. Is that a good idea, Joe? Should we go from being a AA credit rating to being a single A credit rating because we spend 2 or 3 more times what we take in taxes? Is that really a good idea?
I think one of the things that Trump wants to do is not fund the money through taxes, but through drill, baby, drill, because there is trillions of dollars.
It's not going to fucking happen. That is a pipe dream.
No.
You're
oil does convert to cash. It happens in Saudi Arabia, and they have a wealth.
You are spending us into oblivion. We will not be able to maintain America first if we keep spending double or triple what we take in taxes. It's not humanly possible. America is not so special that it is not going to have those consequences. We are not somehow, in 10,000 years of human history, the one country that doesn't suffer from bad fiscal management. I'll give you an example. When the French monarchy collapsed, King Louis XVI had 6 finance ministers telling he was fucking broke. And you know what the motherfucker did every time? Spent double what he was spending. And you know what happened when he finally got to the end of his fucking rope after he funded America? Motherfucker got his head chopped off. That's the kind of shit that happens when you spend yourself into oblivion. Roger's point is that you can't do that. My point is that Republicans shouldn't do that, period. And that Donald Trump's excuses for spending more money are just that. Fucking excuses. And they're bad ones. And they're excuses that will stick my generation with the fucking tap. And that's not tight.
I don't think you understood what I said, but that's okay. You just don't understand.
No, I understood what you said. You're making an argument for spending more money. I'm telling you that no matter what argument you're making, you're making an excuse for spending more money, and that the excuse for spending more money is absolute and complete horseshit. You cannot tell me that it's better when Republicans do it, and it's terrible when Democrats do it.
Marshall, can you pause real quick? I just want to ask the audience a question. This is audience participation, stage participation. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that this is the best version of Marshall. When Marshall's fired up and telling people how it is. Put a 1 in the chat if you like this, Marshall. Oh, Mike does it. Mike's got it too. Mike has a different version of Marshall that he likes, but Mike won't come up and talk about it because Mike doesn't want to debate Marshall.
I like the version of Marshall that's not in the.
What's your favorite version?
I love this version.
I can like both.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think we agree somewhat that the government spends too much. Can we let's ask this question, and I don't want to put my hand too much on the scale here. I'll just ask it this way. If we had 4 years of Harris and 4 years of Trump, and we come back here in 4 years, Who do you think would have a higher national debt, Trump or Harris? Discuss.
Trump.
Oh, Harris would have a higher debt.
Trump spent more than any Democratic president.
You know what's interesting is, I'm a business coach, and a lot of people they want to, tighten their budget on their spending. But the other way to actually become more wealthy is to improve your income. One way to get income is through taxes. One way to get income is through tariff. Another way to get income is from the natural resources under our feet that we can increase. And so, the way you lower the deficit is by increasing the income.
So I'm going to strip mine the land to make excuses for bad spending?
I'm talking
if I'm going to strip the land for shit, dude, I'm going to strip the land for somebody who understands they actually have to pay a debt. I'm not stripping it for somebody to make bad fucking decisions down the road. That's just dumb.
I would just like.
We get to do that one. We get to do that one. No. We get to do that one time to our natural resources. Once. You get to take apart a mountain a single time. And if what you're telling me is that the way to not run out of money is to not stop what you're spending or pare down the amount of money because you don't have it, the way to do it is to strip our natural resources because we cannot figure out how to be responsible, then I'm going to tell you that is a dumb use of our natural resources. It specifically creates pollution, it tears apart ecosystems for no guarantee that we will be any better off 20 years down the road. All it does is make excuses for us to continue to spend more money that we don't fucking have.
There is another.
That's what it is. It is an excuse to spend and spend and spend and spend. And you say states can't operate like that? I'll give you one. Texas is one of the biggest economies in the world. It operates off a balanced budget amendment. Every fucking session, we balance our budget. It is not too much to ask the United States government to do the damn same.
State.
And it is not too much to confront Republicans that think the way to deal with irresponsible fiscal expenditures is just to up the money in the spending category. Because you're not dealing with the underlying consequences that create the problem in the fucking first place, which is the amount of money you're spending. And the thing you have suggested to make it better, Marshall,
hold on. Go ahead.
Thank you, Roger. I just want to respectfully ask Joe, people actually pay you to tell them how to live their lives? I'm just curious.
Hello. What is the name?
Can I jump in on this?
Let's ask Mike this question. Mike, you put the 2 in the chat, the lone 2, I will say. So which version of Marshall do you appreciate most?
Listen.
Russian championship.
Now, Marshall's a nice guy, but he is constitutionally incapable of letting anyone speak on any topic that gets.
Unfortunately, Mike, you're right about that. I'm sorry. I'll do a better job.
That's why I like you, Marshall.
Did you have a take on the question, Mike? Or I don't want to step on your toes here. I was had something to say, but I want you to go first.
And I'll make it quick. The annoying part is that I get what you're talking about, Marshall. This is definitely a valid perspective. But from people who are, obviously capitalists, we've just listened to Roger give a great rant about the evils of communism. What can be construed from this is that raising capital is always a bad thing. You should never spend money in order to make money. If we applied this principle to a capitalist system, capitalism would instantly vanish. No one would be capable of flipping a house for a profit. So, and I'm not saying that this means, hey, we can just spend forever. I'm saying there's a fucking conversation here. And to just have one person rant and rant and rant and not let anyone get 2 words out kind of gets fucking...
The basic question that Joe put out is, can some spending be valuable and other be foolish? The words, I don't remember the exact words he used. And the idea that you can take credit and spend it on a, trip you can't afford and waste money that way, or you can actually, invest it in a business and actually grow yourself an income. Like, you know, the use of debt responsibly is actually a measure in those 10,000 years of history.
Yeah, but Daniel.
I haven't finished.
Daniel, hold on. I want you to deal with real world examples. When the United States government decided to back student loans, the cost of going to college increased dramatically, and the reason it dramatically increased is there's multiple reasons for that, but the starting point is the fact that those loans were guaranteed by the government, right? And so every time the government gets involved, the prices go up, and nobody can say that that's not a problem, because you've got people crying about, I can't get a job with that college education that the government fucking backed that loan on, and I want someone to forgive this fucking loan for me. Look, if your college education wasn't good enough to produce the income for you to pay your debt, then it certainly wasn't good enough for me to fucking pay your debt. And this is the point. You guys don't learn your lesson. We see what happens when the government tries to intervene in areas of our life with this idea that it's going to help. And Daniel, I want you, you're a smart guy. I want you to address the fact that every example that I fucking give of the government getting involved, it increases the price of the goods or services that they get involved in. And if I'm lying, then tell me where I'm
No, you're not lying. You fully believe that, and I get your stand. I just think I could talk about the GI Bill from a very different vantage point. You could persuade me about the college loans things and was a debacle or this or that. I think the point is that when we get to real due diligence, it's on the specifics. For example, in theory, I don't like the idea of the government bailing out Detroit when they did, but I think it has turned out to be a good investment for the American people. So I think the idea that every time, I mean, whenever you hear yourself saying that, you know you're very passionate about it, but it isn't exactly every time, right? Same thing with you, Marshall, right? All the question that Joe asked is, are there some subtle categories between some decent uses of spending and some terrible ones? And by the way, when it comes to eliminating the debt, there's a whole source of revenue that the government is not even looking at, that people like me are working many hours a week on preparing communication for the 26 elections to get the debt and deficit on the table. So there's a lot of people concerned about this. And I just think that the idea that the government spending, especially the federal government spending, is the same as state, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's no limit on the amount of money in the world. It is all printed since 1972. Some of it's printed badly and some of it's not. We just have to figure out how to use it well.
Wait a minute. The current national debt is at $35 trillion and counting. Of that $35 trillion, what do you think was money well spent?
It's such a long list of what's well spent. I mean, we could take...
So of the $35 trillion that we've overspent,
yes,
which of that $35 trillion that we've overspent was money well? Like, what percentage of that? 10% of that? Like, because I would make the argument that overspending is a problem. You seem to be making the argument that some spending is an investment.
Yes.
Well, investing is supposed to show a return. If there was an ROI for this quote-unquote investment, we wouldn't have a deficit, we would have assets.
You still do have assets when you run a deficit, as you well know. And I think if you compare the American economy today in 2024 compared to the rest of the world, there's no question you would rank it number one. Not a question across the board. And if that's true, some might say that deficit spending that was incurred for that has created that result too. Doesn't mean we don't have to retire the debt. As I said, I am working on that problem, like actively working on that problem.
You're the guy that's going to solve this for us?
I actually think possibly yes. I do. And it's not based on my own idea. It's based on an idea I uncovered. I'm arranging resources to put this not sort of on the ballot per se, but into the conversation of 2026, a game plan. There'll be a book that comes out related to it called How to End the Debt in 8 Years.
Now I get it. You're selling a book. I got it. Thank you.
I'll jump in, or
David, please jump in. Save us from ourselves.
I don't know if what I'm going to say is going to make you happy. I think there's a flaw in the question, perhaps, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but Trump, okay, so it's Trump-Harris, but the thing is, the only way I think the best forecast of what Harris is going to do, probably, is to look at what Biden has done, because it looks like she's just basically Biden 2.0, and Biden was Obama 2.0, and I think that's a reasonable argument, so I'm just going to use that for now. So let's just compare what Biden has done and use that as a proxy for what we think Harris is going to do. Well, how much debt did Biden run up? Well, he ran up pretty much the same fucking amount as Trump. It's the same. It's like 7.3 versus 7.5 or 7.8 or whatever. And then if you start to break down like specifically what that entails, for either one, there's a lot of stuff in there that I'm like, even when I don't like the person, I'm like, okay, that was kind of unavoidable. That was kind of like necessary. Like, okay, COVID relief measures that Trump did, I think there's stuff in there that I actually agree with, even though I have criticisms about both Trump and about the way that COVID was handled by the federal government. But I still think there were some things in there that were a good idea. But then I look over at Biden and I see things like, similarly, I see a lot of the spending that he did. Now, even if I heard you were complaining about like the student, you don't agree with the 300 and whatever billion on student relief. I'm more open-minded to that. But let's just say that's a garbage idea. Even if you wipe that off the books, then you're looking at what, like 7 billion versus 7.5. It still doesn't really make it clear to me that
David, I'll make myself clear
they're
on
both big ass spenders. Is my point.
Hold on. I just want to make myself clear on this. If you guys insist that you want to go down this road of forgiving student loan debt, which is a terrible idea, in my opinion, the bigger problem, in my opinion, was the fact that the government was involved in the first place. The only way that you could gain my support for it is if you made a constitutional amendment forbidding the government to ever get in the loan business ever again. If you get us out of the loan business in the federal government, then go ahead, give your little one-time forgiveness. Should we also forgive people that are behind on their mortgage? Because there's a lot of debt. There's a lot of debt that people incur. In fact, I would argue that some people's gambling debt is just as foolish as some of the student debt that people accrued. I mean, if you took a liberal arts major and racked up $30,000-$40,000 worth of debt and never even thought about what kind of career you might actually have or what you're going to make, I actually think that the guy that went into Vegas thinking, man, I'm going to just take my shot at the craps table, probably had a better plan than the fucking student.
Yeah, but Roger, what I'm saying is, without needing to go into that discussion, you obviously have good points there, but without needing to go into the discussion, I can just there are reasons why I am open-minded to it, but I can just give that whole thing to you. I can just be like, you know what, for the sake of argument, screw it. Let's just say, fuck student debt relief. Fuck the whole thing. Even though, personally, I'm more open-minded to it than you are. But let's just say, screw it. Okay, fine, it's a bad idea. But that doesn't make Harris look like less of a spender by much at all, or Biden specifically, than Trump. They're still pretty close to neck and neck. So even if you take that off the table, it doesn't really change the math that much. They still both dropped about $7 billion and some change. And so if you're asking, well, who do you think is going to spend less in the future? I'm saying, I honestly think it's really hard to tell. And then here's another thing. Here's the last thing I'll say. If you look into the details of what they actually spent that money on, some of that stuff was situational things that like COVID being one, or war being one, or like things that it doesn't really matter whether it's Trump or Harris who gets in. They're going to have to face whatever happens in the next 4 years, and they're going to have to end up dealing with what to spend on that. So what I'm saying is, when it comes to spending, I wish there was. I think you're a libertarian, so there's a path there for you that is clearly different from these two options in terms of spending. But if you're talking about the primary product of the Republican machinery and the primary product of the Democratic machinery in terms of spending, I don't think there's a significant difference. I think that what will make the difference is what's going to happen in the next 4 years. If we have another COVID, that's another 300 million or more. If not, no. And it doesn't really matter who's in office. I just don't see a gigantic difference. I mean, look at Biden, look at Trump, look how much they spent. It was almost the same amount, and they're very different politicians. It was almost the same. Yeah, it was almost the same amount. Yeah, it was like 7.5 versus 7.
Let's just say you're right that Trump spent $7 trillion and Kamala spent $7 trillion. You know, the way that Biden and Harris spent it, inflation's gone through the roof. The way that Trump spent it, inflation was flat and level. I still would argue that $7 trillion can be spent wisely, and $7 trillion can be spent foolishly. Why does everybody cut me off in this room?
Joe, listen, we've done this before.
Because you're a Mormon and they hate Jesus. Kelly.
I just wanted to stop you at that point because I think it would be dishonest to say that Trump's spending didn't cause inflation. But
yeah, Jill, I mean, I don't know why you spoke to me. I don't know why.
All I was saying is all spending is not equal. Some is wise and some is foolish. If we can argue on that, we can have a real conversation.
well, we can have a real conversation if I think that you're coming from an honest place, Joe. So your statement about
I am coming from an honest place.
Do you think it's true that Donald Trump, do you think that there is a magical difference between Donald Trump's spending and not seeing inflation in his term? Or do you think that inflation is something that comes after the spending?
I think the precursor to that question is can we agree that there is such thing as wise spending versus foolish spending? And if we can't agree on that, we can't even have a conversation.
I think you made a great point.
You mind if I respond to that there?
Yeah, David, go.
Yeah, so the first thing I have to say up front is Joe's got a great point there because, and again, please fact check me because I'm pulling this kind of out of my ass here. I think under Trump, it was something under 2%. And under Biden, it was something over 5% inflation or something like that. And it peaked much higher than that. Like I don't want to put numbers because I don't know this stuff that well, but like way, like, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, something up in there. So it was bad. But then again, some of the factors that are responsible for that are things like Russia, Ukraine, which is not Biden's fault. So you can't, if Trump had been in office, he would have had to, again, this goes back to the point I was making about things happen when you're president and you can't just blame or credit the president for those things. Obviously you can blame or credit them for other things. So when Trump came into office, another thing I'll mention is that gas and transport costs were globally lower than for Biden, which meant lower energy prices, that's a big deal. That influences inflation. I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not arguing that Trump is not any better than Biden when it comes to managing inflation. That's it. That, if Joe wants to say that Trump is better at that and that he's smarter at that, that's a different argument. The only thing I'm saying is that there's a lot of things that are sort of irrelevant to whoever the president is that's going to affect these things. And I think that some of the really big impactful things are things like COVID or Russia invading Ukraine, big global shockwaves. And these things have had an impact. I'm not saying it's the whole ball game. I'm just saying they had an impact.
Let me ask you this question though. Okay, so you're making the point that shit happens. But what about the fact that how a president reacts to what's happening is where the spending actually comes from? Because COVID itself isn't a spending bill. The reaction to COVID is where the spending comes from. And I think it's a fair point and one that I think Republicans and Trump supporters should reconcile. With all the smoke that you guys have for Democrats and the way that some states handled COVID, the only thing I think that Trump got right about COVID was when it came to mandates, he left it at the states of what to do. But there's a lot of things that were under Trump's control that he did mandate. If you were in the military, for example. And so I guess my question for you, David, is because I agree that they're both reckless spenders. Like Republicans, Democrats, they're out of their minds when they spend. And we don't have to necessarily have the debate about who spends more. But in asking the question, who we think will spend more moving forward, I think that one's a pretty obvious one, simply because, yes, there's these one-off situations that could add a credible amount of spending. And to your point, that would impact anybody. But you also have one person that's planning to spend more. And I think that's something we should look at, don't you?
Well, where's that evidence? Because those economists at the Wall Street Journal, which is conservative, ran those surveys. And of these economists, they analyzed all the policies that they know of on both sides and said that there would be still an increase in debt, but less of it on the Harris side. Plus, we have the history
I would say
that
those people were biased.
Well, okay, that's fine. You're going to dismiss that as well. But also, everybody on this stage said it was the same. But I just posted the statistics there that it's twice as much under Trump as it was under Biden. You can't change those numbers.
I saw those estimates too. I saw it was, I think the forecast is that Trump might increase the federal debt by something north of $7 trillion, and Harris is something north of $3 trillion. And one of the main reasons for that is Trump looks like he's heavier on defense spending, and as we all know, defense spending that's the first thing that's going to eat half the apple. So now personally, given the way the world looks right now, I know this is not going to be popular with Roger as a libertarian, but I'm not opposed to the defense spending with the situation that our allies find themselves in. If it's necessary, I'm willing to support our allies when needed and spend the money in order to maintain a liberal democratic quote unquote world order, if you want to. But for me, that's not a turnoff for Trump. Like when Trump says he wants to drop some money on the military, I don't think that that's some colonial imperialist blah blah blah, whatever the wokes are saying. That doesn't make me not like him. Actually, I would say that when I worry that Harris actually won't take that stand, and that she might be sort of pressured by her sort of the woke anti-colonial retards in her camp, that they haven't cut that cancer out yet, and that might be a. So I'm actually worried spending, to me, it's like you're driving a semi-truck and you have to know how to steer the thing. I wish we were driving a Beetle, like Roger, I wish we were driving a Beetle, but if you're already driving a semi-truck, what do you do? Do you just, it's an interesting question, but when you're in charge of a nation this big with this much, spending is kind of, you could cut back the spending, but then you're also cutting back capabilities. It's a tricky question. I'm not saying I disagree with you, Roger. I'm just saying that you have to give up your capacity to do a lot of things that as a great, powerful nation, we are already in the process of doing. Well, it's like a semi-truck in the middle of a turn. And it's wait a minute, we don't want to be a semi-truck. It's well, wait a minute. It's we're turning right now. We don't have time to fucking have this conversation. It's sort of like that.
David, can I make a comment to something? Can I make a comment to something David said?
One sec. Listen, Joe never answered my question. Everyone ignored it, and that's fine. I think it's foolish not to acknowledge that Trump spent a fuck ton of money. So did Biden. They both dealt with COVID. We can acknowledge that Trump was on track to spend a fuck ton of money before COVID too. There are a lot of things that we can acknowledge about this. We can also say that because of Trump's spending, it was very foolish for the Biden administration to spend as much money as they did, especially under the guise of trying to reduce inflation. It was a real lie. It's a very dishonest way to go about doing it. But I agree with David. I think these arguments about spending in defense of Republicans in the last few minutes, I think it's strange. I think that there are better places that the argument can be made. I think David just made a good one. I don't know. I just don't I don't understand why people try to. I don't even think they try to gaslight anybody else. They literally gaslight themselves on the issue of spending, and I just think I think people should acknowledge it. But go.
Just quickly, David. One thing that you said. Our military. I totally agree. I'm on board. I think we have to beef up our military much more than it's at now. We're probably going to have less naval vessels than China ultimately, and we're going to have a weakness definitely within our naval capacity. We are not just defending our allies, we're defending ourselves. What we do when we're in the Gulf region is to protect commerce, and very important commerce that flows to the United States. We've been doing that since we've been a nation. You know, we can go back to the Barbary times when we've been defending commerce, but it inures to our benefit directly, and our ships and our military have been attacked directly by terrorists. So to have more ability strategically from our military is not just for our allies in the world. It's also for our own defense. And I think that's really important distinction that you have to make.
Yeah. No, that's a
they
very
need
good
to
point.
take Esper's estimate from.
Hold on, can David, Marshall, just 1 sec. David, do you see the nuance on that?
Oh yeah, no. I was just agreeing with you. I was just going to add on. I can't tell you the number of times I've had the conversation with friends and strangers about how, there's this discourse now. Why should Americans care about Ukraine? You have, for instance, Trump and Vance. As much as I like Vance, he's like, I don't fucking care what happens to Ukraine. It's like, do you not fucking understand how that is directly impacting American lives? It's not just a European thing. It's not just a Ukraine thing. If Ukraine goes down, if you don't understand how that directly affects America, I don't know what to tell you. You're a fucking idiot. That's pretty clear to anybody who's ever read 3 or even 2.5 pages of anything to do with the situation. So yeah, it's very much, as much as it might seem altruistic, it's not. It's entirely selfish. It is us. It is about our existence.
How does it affect our existence? Tell me that, because John Mearsheimer categorically disagrees with your assessment. So tell me.
John Mearsheimer.
I just want to understand.
You're citing John Mearsheimer about Ukraine?
Yes.
Allow it.
Gary, I did not know you were a realist. You and me are going to be great friends. I'm a realist too.
Well, politique real, and that's. I just want to ask you, how is it going to make? It's a detriment to the U.S. I'm just curious. Just how does that work?
I can explain it to you if you like.
Hold on. Just Sherry, 1 sec. Let me just finish this one point with him. The other issue that we see, as now we've enabled and helping our allies to rid the world of Hezbollah, we also see that the attacks are intended for the West. It is not just Israel, it is the West. And there was a recent video, I can put this in the chat, that was just put together by Canary, showing within our country the threats to this nation, but also that it's death to America that's being chanted overseas. So with respect to the strong military, we do have presently direct threats towards us and emanating from Iran and its proxies. So we can't lose sight of that as well.
Yeah, so I can explain to you why it's a good thing for America and actually the rest of the world for Ukraine to be defended against Russia. Okay, very simple. Basically, the theory goes that if Ukraine is fully taken over, that Russia won't stop there. And this is definitely a plausible scenario because Russia has invaded and defeated every single country in Europe, except for England, Scotland, Spain, and Portugal. So you can look that up. I'll say it again. Russia has defeated and invaded in war 95% of every country in Europe. They have a long history of it. And Putin is a political revisionist. He believes in this odd theory that all of Central Europe and Eastern Europe should belong to Russia. This would cause, theoretically, it is theoretical at the moment, but if he were to go into, let's say, Poland or the Balkans or other smaller and Eastern European countries, it would cause all sorts of chaos within the world's second largest economy. So basically what the people in the U.S. government and military are saying, okay, if you give the Ukrainians a bunch of guns and stuff like that, they'll hold Russia back and they'll keep Russia from fucking up all of Europe's economy. And the European economy is the second largest in the world, or the largest in the world, actually, maybe. I think it's larger than the United States, the entire GDP of the EU, I think. So that's why it's in everybody's best interest to make sure that Russia doesn't screw around with the borders in Europe.
Can I add on to that? Or somebody else wants to go ahead.
Yeah. So, look, I think that question is an interesting question because, why should the United States care, right? Well, after the Second World War, it's important to recognize that the world we live in currently is a world shaped in the image of the United States, a global world order where there are certain norms that a country can just invade another country to take over territory, the UN Charter, all that stuff, right? So, and the country that's leading that charge, this global world order, is the United States. So the United States is watching while Russia invades a neighbor, unprovoked, invades a neighbor and tries to, within a day, take over the capital of that neighbor. It is literally in the interest of the country to ensure that this global world order that they spent a lot of money to protect is upheld. That's why it's in their best interest to keep surging resources to Ukraine so Ukrainians can defend themselves against an obvious aggressor. Secondly, it's also cheaper because it's either that or, like the gentleman said before me, Putin would invade Ukraine. He doesn't stop there, invades another neighboring country. Article 5 is triggered. Now the entire European country plus the United States needs to have boots on ground to prevent further incursion into Russia. So based on those two principles, to you, it might not sound like a lot. It might not sound like a lot, like, oh, you know what? Why should we care about the global world order? But if you actually think about it, it impacts everything. Because if Russia can invade Ukraine and there's no consequences, it means China can invade Taiwan with no consequences. It means Cameroon can invade Sudan with no consequences. So, like, the question is, it's all about values, right? What does the country value? And I think Americans listen to the senators and this debate on the floor. They are determined to show Putin that the country is ready to surge resources to Ukraine till the end. And Putin should think twice again before he tries to invade another country.
I think the way that I sometimes try to explain it to people is like, imagine what a miracle it is for humans to be able to sit on an airplane and travel for 12 hours. If you put chimpanzees on an airplane for 12 hours, they'd be eating each other's faces, right? Like, why aren't we killing each other? Why do we stand in an elevator for 30 seconds and not, like, start raping and murdering each other? And the reason is only basically because we just have this kind of, like, socially accepted norm. There's nothing physically stopping this brutal behavior. It's just we all kind of like agree, well, that's just not what you do. Okay, well, what we're looking at and we've lived for so long, especially if you live in the West, in an environment where that's what airplanes are like. So we don't really know another reality. Now, possibly for the first time, we're looking at the possibility of having that reality flipped, we're now looking at the possibility of a world where, as Ifanye just explained, we will be invading countries just because we can fucking do it. We will be fucking eating each other's faces on planes. You know, it'll just be a matter of like, might makes right. And we haven't seen that since like the Middle Ages, but that is what we are looking at. That's what China wants. That's what Russia wants. And the world order that the United States has established and we've tried to maintain for a while now has basically made it so that like we all kind of agree that like you don't just go and like start invading and like bombing the crap out of people and just take it because you want it. We all kind of agree that like that's not a good thing to do. Russia does not think that way. If you know Russian culture, if you are of Russian culture, that idea never caught on over there. They tried it, they didn't like it, they rejected it, they went right back to feudalism and fascism. And they want to spread that to the rest. So, you know, in Europe, they had a little taste of Nazism, and we decided that sucks. The Russians are like, actually, it doesn't, and we want to give that to the world. And China also wants to do that. And they actually have a chance now of succeeding, literally. And this war is kind of the this is a tilting point. This in Taiwan and a couple other hot spots, and not only that, put that all aside. Just put all of that aside a second. There's also what would happen if NATO is weakened. There's also China's growing influence in the region. There's the destabilization in terms of the agricultural exports of Ukraine and what that would mean for Eastern Europe and the world. Most importantly, regions in Africa that are currently, especially the Horn region, you would see the greatest famine that the world has ever conceived of if that were to happen. It's already happening right now, actually. It's only going to get worse. Energy market disruptions, sanctions fallout, expanded cyber threats, a renewed arm race and a renewed Cold War. I mean, you're looking down the barrel of a very, very big gun. I could go on, but I just want to close by addressing something earlier. I think there was a back and forth about Mearsheimer, who I guess I used to like him more than I do. I'll say that. I'll give him some credit. Okay, I'll try to be nice here, but he's not simply a realist. He's what's known as an offensive realist, and there's a difference. There's offensive realism and there's defensive realism. And so, if you were to read his book, The Tragedy of Great Power Politics, it's a good book, by the way. He argues in this book that essentially he argues for the existence of a world that sounds, at least to me, like a hellscape. And the main arguments against this worldview that he puts forward, is that he ignores the domestic politics and the influence that domestic politics can have. He ignores the power of those who seek for peace and cooperation, as if they have no voice, as if they don't exist. It's not just a bunch of fascist assholes running around raping and killing. There's more to the human story than that. And he doesn't. We can reflect on many different periods in human history in many different countries where the pacifists actually had a voice and had sway. It's not just military power and crushing and destroying. This is his retarded, frankly, worldview, that it's just that. It's just big boulders smashing into each other and nothing else. And although there is truth to that, it misses a lot. It's a very low resolution analysis of interaction between nation states, and there's been many times. Okay, Gandhi, for one example, just a tiny example, but there's a single person who had an impact on an empire, and although the ball was already rolling, they withdrew. India achieved. I mean, there's many examples we can point to. Martin Luther King, another one, where people who were pacifists, who weren't this aggressive, kill them, rape them, destroy. It wasn't that, and yet they had a powerful influence on the domestic politics. And he just glosses over all of that. It doesn't even exist for him because he's just not that intelligent and insightful an analyst, in my opinion.
Yeah, he is. No, actually, he is.
Okay,
He's
sure.
extremely insightful. He is a premier international relations expert and a MENA expert, for that matter. And now I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. So try to keep up, because there's three elements to them. The first element, because he lays it out, and while you said your feelings, And I appreciate that. It doesn't have anything to do about the Russo-Ukraine issue. Okay, it really doesn't. And this really started back in 2008 in the Bucharest NATO summit. And that's a huge, huge important factor that you conveniently left out. And maybe you didn't know. But this has been going on for a long time. It's very important to grasp the entire notion of NATO expansion. That's really what these three dimensions are. That's the first and most important, NATO expansion, okay? And the expansion eastward was to include Ukraine. The second element is the EU expansion. In other words, it wasn't just NATO that was going to go forward and include Ukraine. It was the EU. Okay, that's the second element. Third element was the color revolution. And in the case of Ukraine, that was the Orange Revolution. And the idea behind the Orange Revolution was to turn Ukraine into a liberal democracy like Britain and the United States. But it was also supposed to be a liberal democracy that was aligned with the United States. Okay, this is all part and parcel of the strategy. And it was designed to make Ukraine a Western bulwark on Russia's border. Did you understand all that? Three elements, I went through them, and those three things are extremely important in understanding this. In 2008, okay, so we're going to go back. In 2008, NATO expansion, the first tranche of that was processed in 1999 and included Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic. Those three in 1999. The second tranche came in 2004, which included countries like Romania, Baltic states, and so on. At this time, Russia put its foot down and said, I am not going to let you do this with Ukraine, because they already disliked the other two tranches that came in 1999 and 2004, but the world didn't listen. And so Russia already said no to Ukraine, and they said this wasn't going to happen. So this was already in the works. This is really what the history of it is. This has nothing to do with, I don't know what you just said about some, I don't know, like anti-masculine thing you seem to have a problem with. You must be the new version of masculinity as per the Kamala Harris campaign. Their new masculine version is that tampon Tim. So you fit that mold, and I understand that. But that's not what this is. This isn't about him going around advocating war, but your mentality doesn't fit the facts. Okay? This war, they've already lost this war. Ukraine's done here. They've already lost. There's no way they're going to regain this. And this whole thing about Russia expansion, this is Cold War, old Soviet Union mentality. That doesn't exist.
No, it's not. It's literally watching
Hold on, everybody stop. Hold on. I want everyone to continue, but I'm just going to say this. Misdemeanor, I appreciate you. I respect you. I don't agree with you at all, but I want to hear your point of view. But you diminish it greatly. You try to in some way characterize David himself negatively. So let's not do that. Marshall, stop screaming and interrupting. You'll get a chance to speak. But if we could just take a couple batteries out and stop taking everything personally, it would be.
He just made some ad hominem remarks about the book in his own opinion.
Okay,
I'm attacking his opinion.
Misdemeanor. Listen, it wasn't. I was presenting it as a request.
That's fine.
Frankly, if the book were here to argue on its behalf, it would be fine. But you're not the.
That's fine. The issue is that you're misunderstanding, and I think a lot of the liberals do, the entire Russo-Ukraine issue. And I don't agree that Ukraine should have been a member of NATO, and I don't agree with all the funding that was given to Ukraine, and I don't think it did any good, and I don't think it made them a stronger nation or a better or safer for global security. None of those things have worked out. So while you still argue on behalf of the fact that it was good, you're basically arguing on the fact that it was a bad investment, but it was good that we did it. And I don't understand why.
Have you read the
book? You haven't
book?
done that. You just attacked Mearsheimer, so that's it.
Have you read the book, yes or no?
I don't have to read the book. I know the facts. I've listened to Mearsheimer ever since I was a student.
Thank you for answering the question.
Excuse me. I've been in Mearsheimer's lectures. I'm a graduate of University of Chicago. I don't need a tutorial from you.
I'm not impressed by
okay,
the fact
fine.
that you sat in his lectures and didn't understand anything he was saying. If you haven't read the book,
Okay,
then you don't know what
that's
you're
fine.
talking
We're done
about when I talk
talking.
about
That's
the
okay.
book.
I just stated 3 elements of the conflict. You haven't refuted any of those elements. You haven't spoken to any of them. You don't understand that this goes all the way back to 1999,
Well,
and that this isn't something new.
Listen, I understand what you're saying, but these 3 elements don't in any way refute the things that David or Akiana pointed out about the advantages to preventing Russia from taking Ukraine. So, I mean, I don't know. I get it that you have a different perspective, but I'm not sure why anyone owes you a response because none of your 3 points in any way, shape, or form came close to addressing what they pointed out.
Exactly.
Well, I didn't finish, but I'm not going to either. That's okay.
All sizzle and no steak. Of course you won't finish. You don't.
Because then I would have to go
response
into
to what I
Victoria
said.
Newland, and then I would have to go
You
and
didn't.
describe.
You didn't respond to what I said. You just talked for a long time and said a bunch of bullshit. You didn't actually respond to anything I said.
Because I don't respond to
And you
feelings,
think that
particularly men.
you said a lot of condescending,
Particularly
insulting
yours.
stuff, but
Yeah,
you
I
didn't
don't
actually
respond to feelings.
connect
You're
with any of the substance of what I said because you don't have an argument.
Yes,
If
I
you do, we
I'm
would all
telling
love
you
to
the
hear the
background
argument.
of it.
We're all
There's
waiting.
no
Please
reason-
present us
I
with an
told you
actual
this.
argument.
My God.
I think her argument was excellent, actually.
Well, I mean,
And I was paying
Isa,
attention.
but hold on. Here's the thing, though. Like, Isa, I wouldn't mix yourself up with that argument because it again, people can have feelings about what they think is fair or not fair when it comes to Putin. Putin having power beyond what he has now. Sorry, I keep getting a red bar. Gaining power, which is what would happen if he's just allowed to do this. Sure, that may bolster the arguments that were just made about Putin's feelings and what he's, the threats that he makes, whatever. But it doesn't address the economic issues that come along with destabilizing Ukraine or that region or handing them more an imbalance of power when it comes to resources that go to different parts of the world. Nobody addressed that. I don't frankly, the less power Putin has, the less I have to care about the points.
But I'm not talking about Putin's power. I was only talking about the Russo-Ukraine conflict. I didn't address his power or anything. I refuted the fact that it's his Russia expansion. That's what I did. That's all I did. I don't think it's Russia expansion, and the reasoning I gave you was those 3 elements. You can have that opinion. That's fine.
Wait, hold on. Do you believe that countries are partially defined by their borders?
You mean sovereignty?
Yeah, that's what we're getting at here. So I guess my question is, it sounds like, and maybe I'm hearing you wrong, but it sounds like you lack the moral conviction to condemn someone that attacks a sovereign country.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what moral conviction or lacking it thereof even refers to.
Oh, let me put it in terms that even you can understand. Russia invaded Ukraine, and you're making it sound as if that didn't happen.
That's the same argument that the Palestinians are making about Israel, that they're the aggressors. No,
hold on. Listen, your lack of your confusion and lack of understanding of this, of either of those conflicts, to be able to conflate those 2 issues in the way that you just did, that these things have nothing. The only similarity is you have a tyrant in Russia that doesn't respect sovereignty, and you have terrorists in what they like to call Palestine that don't respect sovereignty. So if there's any through line here, there seems to be this weird thing that happens where Republicans don't like dealing with Russian aggression, and Democrats don't like dealing with Islamic fascist aggression. And I'm just wondering, Why can't we say that terrorists and dictators are both bad, and that the fucking the common sense approach would be to put both of these motherfuckers down?
So who's Zelensky?
I
how
guess
is
you're not
Zelensky
here
any
for an
different?
intelligent conversation.
How is Zelensky any different than the aggressors that
I'll explain because I don't know if you've witnessed what's happened. Zelensky didn't march his army into fucking Russia. That didn't happen.
Are we having
And
this?
so-
Is this where we've sunk?
Wait a minute. Why is somebody interrupting me?
I apologize.
Yeah, well, I don't need apologies. I just need to fucking get these words out. I don't fucking get how you can confuse aggression from a fucking tyrannical dictator and fly cover for him. The fact, look, if you're too fucking big of a pussy to understand that fucking when tyrants act up, good people are supposed to stand up and say, hell's no. But I don't know. Maybe you think fucking Vladimir Putin riding the fucking bear with his shirt off is fucking hot.
I don't know. It seems like there needs to be an additional point.
This is the United States' fault, and the EU and the NATO are not much of a player. It's the United States that's driving this train, and you would have to then understand Victoria Nuland's role in the entire Ukraine conflict, and you'd have to understand where this came from and the Institute for the Study of War, and then I would have to go into all of that.
Cherry, the problem is the former Soviet Union. The only reason the former satellite states next to the West decided they wanted to go to NATO is because for 50 years they weren't allowed to. Things like blue jeans weren't allowed in fucking Poland. And so Poland, places like Hungary and Yugoslavia, with Tito, we're in the 50s, in order to put some of these folks down, the Russians sent in their military and executed a whole bunch of innocent civilians. The reason those countries looked at NATO as a better bulwark than Russia is because Russia not only violated their sovereignty, but killed a bunch of their citizens, said sorry, said they wouldn't do it again, and then did the exact same shit they did before later. Right? Like, the reason you had South Ossetia and Georgia do what they wanted to was because they didn't like the idea of the Russians invading them. Like, I think you just should be a little blunter. You think it's cool for Russia to rebuild its empire.
No,
Fine.
I didn't say that. Stop putting words in my mouth.
No,
I think you have to also understand.
That is exactly.
No, it's not.
She
It's your
did not say
interpretation.
that.
That's exactly the result of what would happen. If you get those groups and Vladimir Putin is able to reconstitute the former Soviet Union, which he has said in public that he wants to do.
She did not say that, and he said that he doesn't think that this is an expansionist effort, Marshall.
I just said that. I know.
You allow a greater sphere of Russian influence
Well, what's your opinion?
from the idea that Russia should be able to do what it wants to do, despite the fact that, again, the reason the former Soviet satellite states decided to come to NATO,
Germany and France were both opposed to Ukraine being a member of NATO. Oh my God!
was not because we offered
It's
them
like-
a pilot. Well, dude, you are speaking in the middle of me speaking. All right, so they didn't do
Because
that
you give
because
lectures.
They didn't
it's
do
not a
that
conversation.
because they were trying to be assholes. They did that because they didn't trust the Russians. And they didn't trust the Russians because the last 40 years were the Russians breaking their promises. So why in the world should any place that was ever occupied or influenced by former Soviet Russia take them seriously? Take them as if they would keep their promises.
Marshall, let me jump in here. Let me just say this. This whole thing is fucking weird. Ronald Reagan would be fucking rolling in his grave right now if he could hear this shit. Republicans just have this fucking weird hard-on when it comes to fucking... They've just become pussies when it comes to fighting Russia. And so everything Putin does is good. And now they come to the point where this is where some Republicans are. Not all of them. Marcia, you're a Republican, you know this, but some of these
Not
fucking
all
conspiratorial
Republicans.
ones,
Thanks, Roger.
they actually believe that NATO and the U.S. are worse than the Soviet Union. This is the fucking problem. If Ronald Reagan was here, they'd put these little fucking mental midgets in check. And here's the thing, like the weirdest fucking thing is when people can get that conflict so fucking wrong, but then they can get the Israeli Palestine conflict right, and then vice versa. These things are very similar if you look at it in one simple way. One simple way. Leave a sovereign country alone. And if the country that violates that principle, whether it's through terrorism or whether it's through an invasion, as the Russians have done, we're supposed to fucking oppose that. And if you don't, what you're allowing for is you're sending a signal that terrorism and invading other countries is the right thing to do, and it will go unchecked. And I'm telling you, whether it's the fucking Democrats that are soft when it comes to defending Israel, or when it comes to the Republicans that are soft in defending Europe, it's embarrassing. It's fucking embarrassing. Republicans, check yourself. You should go fucking read fucking what Ronald Reagan had to say about the Soviet Union and quit dick riding fucking Vlad.
It's not all Republicans, Roger. Please understand that and distinguish that.
I know, but it's a subset of them, just like it's a subset of the Democrats that would fucking sacrifice Israel. There's a subset of Republicans that would sacrifice Ukraine, and it's disgusting on all accounts. They've got no conviction, and I wish Republicans would throw those fucking shitheads on their fucking asses, and I wish Democrats would do the same with those fucking anti-Israeli pieces of shit that walk their own.
There are also Democrats that are again foreign aid.
Azov Brigade, and the Azov Brigade is the neo-Nazis in Ukraine that Russia.
Cherry, that's not the issue. That's not the issue. You come off as a Chamberlain. No. You come off as a Chamberlain.
I come off as a what?
Chamberlain.
What's a Chamberlain?
She doesn't know who that is.
Oh, come on. Are you serious?
She has no idea who that is, dude. She doesn't know history.
Former Prime Minister of the UK who went to talk to Hitler and had an agreement with him where Hitler said he wasn't going to do anything bad, and then guess what Hitler did?
Wasn't that
some bad shit?
Chamberlain? You mean Chamberlain, right?
Yes, Neville Chamberlain. Yeah. Neville Chamberlain. That's like
and
exactly
I'm like him, you're saying?
You are making excuses for aggression in the same way that Neville Chamberlain did.
I'm not making excuses. I just told you a bunch of facts.
Yes, you are making an
Ladies, can you take this to the private room so we can continue the conversation?
Actually, Marshall,
One sec, David.
Marshall,
David
the interesting you
hold on just a
said
second.
is that any country who was under the Soviet Union should not trust the
Tiger,
Russians.
I'm sorry, I'm moving your tiny dick to the audience. Don't come back up, respectfully. David, you were trying to jump in for a while. Were you able to? Is all you wanted to do also point?
Thank you. No, I skipped the Chamberlain thing. That's interesting. No, Roger, when I said I couldn't believe that the conversation was sinking to this level, I know I interrupted when you were speaking, but I wasn't attacking you. I just couldn't believe that we had actually reached a point where we were discussing whether or not Ukraine invaded Russia or Russia invaded Ukraine. But I guess that is what was required considering what we're dealing with here. This is like, I don't know what this is like. I wonder who in the room is actually of Slavic family or ancestry, or who in the room possibly grew up in that area, or who has family in that area and maybe could give us some insight, because this is like a black person listening to white people say, slavery was actually kind of okay, and you just don't, and the black person this is just fucking insane. Where the fuck do you get off making this argument that what Russia is trying to do is not fascist hell that they have been raining down on these innocent people for as long as they've been capable, and anyone who lives in the region who can tell that is what they've been doing to them. That is why every nation near Russia, and even many people in Russia, understand this and want to have nothing to do with it. But you get these, brain melted, retarded liberals who are like, no, yeah, but Mearsheimer.
Who are you talking about? Are
Who
you
haven't
talking
even
about
read
me?
his book.
I'm sorry,
Who
Mom.
haven't even,
How come
excuse
I
me,
can't say
you're
anything
interrupting me while I'm
to
talking.
And you can say it to me. How does that work? I was stopped
Excuse
from
me.
saying anything.
You haven't even read his books, but you're lecturing everyone about his thoughts.
I've read all of it.
because-
I've listened to all of his lectures. I've known him for years.
I asked you if you read his book. You said no. You haven't read his book.
But that's okay.
Okay, so you
Then
don't
you
know what he's written in his books, and what I told you was from his.
I'm particularly up
Would you
on
mind?
what
Would you
he
mind waiting
does
until
with
I'm done, and then you can speak, and then I'll listen to you, and I won't interrupt you?
I don't even
How about
wanna-
if we do it that way? How about that? I won't interrupt you when you're speaking because I don't think I've interrupted you yet when you were speaking before. I certainly won't from now on. Okay, but I don't know your background. I don't know if you have Russian or Belarusian or Polish family, but I would be shocked to learn that you do, because I don't know anyone who is from that part of the world that makes the arguments that you make, that has their family suffering under what they're suffering, and is like, yeah, that's actually okay somehow. I know a lot of people from that part of the world, and all of my family is from that part of the world, and it is like, it is fucking hell. I wish, you know what, I don't even wish you could suffer it. It wouldn't be right, but it would at least give you some insight into what you're talking about. It is like being Jewish and living in Nazi Germany, and then turning around and saying, you know what, maybe we should have this also.
Ooh, they kicked me? They kicked me? Oh, man.
Until I was about to say something.
You're serving the Queen of Heaven. I'm telling you, I can go read.
I don't do any of that shit. I know what the fuck you ate today was not healthy though. I know what you ate today wasn't healthy. So I don't know why the fuck you keep talking. You ain't eat nothing nutritional today, dog.
Bro, listen, you play.
What you ate today?
You play mediator between people.
What did you eat today?
Don't
Don't lie. You're taking too long. You either didn't eat or you're lying.
Small little chicken wrap. I don't even eat much.
You ate a fucking chicken wrap. You are a slave.
He switched to a chicken wrap, nigga. I heard
They stuck on me. I said a chicken wrap from
You
the
said a cigarette, nigga.
He ate a chicken wrap
Nigga,
today.
I don't even smoke swear.
You are a hoe. You are a hoe to the society.
Dead animal.
Who said I'm a mediator to the demons? I'm gonna take the lesser evil. I'm a Capricorn. Yeah.
What you eat
Same when you
today?
niggas say I'm a this and I'm a that.
What you eat today?
I had breakfast, lunch, and I'm about to
I
have
know.
dinner.
Just tell me what you ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I had some fucking avocados and I put some. Y'all don't eat the shit I eat. It ain't gonna sound good, bro.
You ate weaker than me.
It's gonna sound nasty, but I had avocados with nutritional yeast and cayenne pepper.
Hey, don't tell
and
nobody
an
else that.
egg. What else I had? Lunch? What I had for lunch? Damn, I eat a lot, yo. I don't know. We about to eat Wagyu burgers. I ain't eat meat for 8 years. I'm eating this shit now.
Yeah, you finna fuck.
I have O negative blood. I have to eat the shit.
So avocados. So you had the bubble guts. What else you eat? What's your
What
lunch?
else I had? What the fuck did I just eat? I just ate again.
What's your lunch?
Yo, I forgot. But I had avocados and then what happened? Lunch? Oh, a salad with some grilled chicken.
Girl, you ate that yesterday.
Oh, so I put the shit in
No,
a
I
wrap.
made the chicken the other day.
I
That's
put it
whole
in a
chicken
wrap.
and I put it on the
You
grill.
ate a chicken salad and I put it in a.
You right. All right. I'm sorry.
Cool.
You ain't make it though. I made my food.
Nah, I ain't making that comment.
Exactly. You like that's your guy.
Man, what do you
Niggas
mean? That chicken wrap cost $20. What are you
That's
talking about?
insane. You are a fucking hoe to capitalism.
Hey, Watts.
Better than any kind of chicken salad you gonna create. What, nigga?
Hey, yo, God a bitch. Don't ever forget that.
Yo, what?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what's possessing you to say these things? I mean,
What's possessing you to say these things?
Look. I only asked one question.
Ask your God.
Hey, listen. Every single time y'all hear people talking, they say, hey, you believe in God and why you curse? Because you try to see God in people, right? You just curse God, right?
Oh, God.
Who you think?
This nigga repeated it back to me like I didn't know I said fuck your God.
I get it. But the only God you know, chill out. The only God you know is yours, though. That's the truth, though. You only said fuck your God, nigga.
Right. I didn't say my God. Fuck your God. Your God a bitch.
I'm about to read y'all what it says.
You don't know my God, though.
That's why he a bitch.
You don't know my God, though.
But he a bitch.
Jesus is my God.
Well, did you hear what I said?
Well, all right, so you still stand on what you're saying?
You think Jesus is a real person, you dumbass nigga?
I asked you, do you stand in what you're saying?
Man, I shit on what I just said, nigga, and I shit on your God.
What the fuck?
What you talking about, man?
This nigga said I shit on what I'm saying.
Okay, can I read this real fast? It's from the
good job cowering up, nigga. I saw that.
All right, look.
That man.
Box, hold on. This for you too. It's for both of y'all. Y'all probably read this though. This is the Art of War, but it's just this specific part. It says right here, the art of war is of vital importance to the state. It is a matter of life and death, a road either to safety or to ruin. Hence, it is a subject of inquiry which can on no account be neglected. This is the part I want to read. The art of war, then, is governed by 5 constant factors to be taken into account in one's deliberations when seeking to determine the conditions obtaining in the field. So here they are. Moral law, heaven, earth, the commander, method, and discipline. It says, fuck all that. This is the part I wanted to read. It says, the moral law causes the people to be in complete accordance with their ruler, so that they will follow him. Him could translate to them too, regardless of their lives, undismayed by any danger. Now, see how crazy that is? So my ruler is myself. So I have to follow myself regardless. I cannot move off that path. If your ruler is whoever the fuck it is, don't let nobody take you off your path.
You don't read that book to say you God.
Bugging out on that book like you could.
Box, you knew what I meant.
Way much better than that. He trolling. We're paying him some attention, bro. Fuck him.
I'm saying whoever your God is, don't pivot. Stand on that shit.
What do you mean?
That nigga God is Tinkerbell.
Hey, hold up. Nobody here got a God unless you know his name.
I named him when I made him, bitch ass nigga.
My God name is Sade.
The fuck is a Sade? What that mean?
Hey, we're calling on that
Sade.
God.
Oh, you are God. All right, boom. So that's not enough. Box, what's your God's name, nigga? Present him.
Why would I ever tell you? Hey, once you know a person's name, you know you got dominion over.
Stay secret, nigga. Stay secret.
Hey, when you tell a person the name, you got dominion over anything you name. That's why he named every animal. You ain't gonna have dominion over my God. I made him for a reason to get on your way.
You created your own God? Man, the Lord of the Geckos. Hey, I'm glad you listened, though.
What? He said Lord of the Geckos. All right, you got it, bro.
Looks like his God is a parking cone.
Stop playing with me, girl. Your God is in the mountain.
I don't got no God. I don't believe in nothing.
Exactly. Your God is moist and dark.
I had beef enchiladas, chocolate pudding, and I'm about to have a Caesar salad.
No boba.
You look like you want to headbutt something.
And what would go over there eating all them guacamoles.
Yeah, I got a big old noggin. Big noggin for my big bro.
How much for that, Mark?
I'm donate to science when I die.
No, I need that head while you alive. What you talking about?
All the best Mexican rappers live in Texas. That's crazy.
But you live with your mama. Stop talking. They ain't ask you shit.
They only, bro.
Hey, shut with your fucking pubic hair ass beard, nigga.
You thought that was funny, dumbass nigga? That shit wasn't cute, bitch. Stop playing me. All right, get on your ass for real.
Man, this nigga Box is a real talking nigga.
Hey, ask Cartel, they put me out earlier for talking shit. I been getting put out today.
Y'all be bullying Go when she come in, man. It's crazy.
Hey, the bad part, she was falling for that shit, though. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Y'all be bullying the hell out of Go every time she come in. I fuck with Go. I like Go. She don't be getting like out of her body or nothing, like getting super disrespectful. Nothing. She cool. Cartel, is this your minion right here? Is Box Baby Cartel?
Hey, I'm big, homie. Good.
Oh, you the big homie? Cartel, hey, you let another grown ass man call himself your big homie?
I ain't his big homie. I'm big homie. What you mean? We all bosses. What you mean? You like having little niggas around you. The fact that you just like having niggas around you. Me, the good. I don't play like that, good.
All right, blood. Hey, that nigga Johnny killed you with the fucking big worm shit, though. He says that daily, though. So it's not really like a new show. I never heard that. Only to you. I never heard that nigga talk on this app, bro. That shit killed me. I
don't know. Hey, the shit that's crazy. You can tell how much a person can weigh by how they talk.
Y'all ever call each other big homie? I really can't, though.
That's a science. Back the fuck out of here, nigga.
All the bad bitches on this app sound like shit. All the ones that sound real good, they be the fat bitches, the ugly bitches. Stop it.
I ain't gonna lie. When you fat up them foul, they definitely gotta make themselves sound cute. They be catfishing with that boy time.
Why the big back sound sexy as fuck though?
Hey, they be having to do it. They know what they be doing, bro.
Yeah, all the women on this app, me and the homie, we used to say this shit all the time, right? But like, if she sounds good, she's probably ugly. All the ones that got them scratchy throats and sound like they smoke a pack a day, them be the baddies.
Bullshit, bro. Your voice got a reverb, nigga. Your shit echoing through your fucking body.
It's the truth.
It's true. Tabernacle.
All right, this is Talking Apes. If I can read a brief from a brief astrological book.
Shut your hoe ass up.
Why not astronomical? I might as well change the title now.
You guys want to hear it?
You need to go change the title.
I'm pulling it out of the topic. Hey, Mike, you ain't got nothing to add. You want to just start shit, nigga? We can start a shit talk room for you, but we actually have a title going up here.
Hey, I was the nigga that brought it. Hey, I gave y'all Job 38. I gave y'all Mazaroth and the verses that came with it. I came to most shit since I've been in here. Y'all was trolling, so I just started trolling with y'all. I came.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
That's
real. They pulled her out of the room.
Nah, my nigga Box be talking this shit though.
Nah, they pulled her out of the room, but then they didn't want to have no conversation afterwards. Sorry, at this point they gotta carry the combo.
Is it demonic or not? What was it?
Yeah, a little all over the place, but he cool.
Bro, your body all content. Oh, no structure having ass nigga. If you don't get your fat flabby ass on, good, don't ever play with me. You built like Peter Griffin when he lost his bones, fat ass nigga. Watch out.
You a midget with a beard.
He is the big homie.
Stop playing with me, Fog.
Nah, that nigga a midget with a beard. He definitely not the big homie.
Bro, this nigga built like a roly poly, young built a bitch ass nigga. Bro, he built like a pile of shit. Dirty ass.
You a little homie.
Bro,